Okay. So she is going through a full body workout today. And I'm going to go ahead and skip right to the first exercise. So these are Smith squats. Now, the first thing that I want to say is it might be tempting to grab this little squishy marshmallow and put it on the bar to protect your neck. But the problem is it gets in the way between your body and the bar. So it affects your ability to create stability with the bar. It's almost like if you put a Tempur-Pedic mattress on your shoulders while you try to pick something up, it's going to offset the weight. So your body won't be able to stabilize quite as well. And our stability directly impacts our ability to create force. So if our body feels unstable, then we won't be able to lift as much, as efficiently, and we won't be able to keep good form. So I would just skip the little marshmallow, the squishy marshmallow. The best way to go about placing the bar is to just squeeze your shoulder blades together behind, and you'll feel your natural little bar holder in the back. There's a fleshy part underneath your neck and below the bone. That is where you want to hold the bar, place it, and actually pull down on the bar so that you can create some tension in your upper body to help support yourself. It feels counterintuitive, but if you pull down, you'll feel a lot stronger through your lifts. So just skip the marshmallow, get used to the bar placement. If it's hurting your neck, try to reevaluate, try different placements, try to find that sweet spot, because ultimately, as you add more weight and you do get stronger, it's going to have like a higher impact on your workouts. All right, let's keep going. So she's got her feet pretty wide. It's a little excessive. I would say this is more like a sumo squat. Whoop, I guess there is an ad. Hold on 1 second. So if we were to do a sumo squat, that's fine. But it is a super wide stance, so you're gonna target more of like the inner thighs. And you might end up like she's almost putting more tension in her knees because she is set up so wide. I would probably tell her to bring her foot in about maybe 2 inches so that your knees can be stacked instead of creating this awkward leverage point on your knees with your weight coming to your glutes in between. Yeah, see how her knees are kind of like sideways, almost like bowing in. We don't want to bow inward. We want to make sure that that knee stays nice and straight over the knee. So my next little critique here, I like that she's pushing her butt far back so that she keeps the weight in her glutes. But when she comes up, she does this little frog butt thing. And this is, I see it all the time. I've done it before. And where you'll run into issues is we're creating impact here on the lower vertebra of the spine every time that we thrust forward. And we really are pushing the weight and the tension out of the muscle and into the joint. So we're creating more impact and a higher risk of injury here if we're doing frog butt. So instead of thrusting it all the way forward, let's just finish strong. We're squeezing our glutes. We're making sure that we're fully contracting the glutes, but we're not necessarily squeezing to the frog butt and pushing it forward because we don't want to cause any extra impact to the spine that we don't have to. So it's kind of like this over thrust that happens at the top that you want to protect yourself against. All right, so walk-in lunges. She really does a nice job with these. You'll see she gets nice and deep. She's not letting her back knee hit the ground. We just want to barely levitate over the ground with that back knee. And then with the upper body, you do want to keep it relatively straight. Try to keep it stationary. She'll say that in the video, and she's right. Oh, there we go. Leg muscles, core, hip flexors. Good. And I like this. The only thing that you really want to be careful of when you're lunging is to make sure that your knees don't cave in, especially on this push off up. So when you're watching, you'll see she goes to push up and then her knee bows just a touch. It's really not that bad, but I commonly see people's knees will be caving in. And that's just another bow that we want to protect against. We don't want to rely on the joint to hold all of our bones together. We want to actively squeeze the muscle to keep everything in alignment so that we keep the pressure off of the joints. Good. Yeah. So I would tell her just a little more pressure on the outside of the foot. Make sure that the top of your leg, your quad is activated and you're just being mindful about your knee staying straight. Good. All right, next, lat pull down. And again, her form looks pretty good with these. The setup, you do want to make sure that the little pad here is actually flush to your leg like she's got, because we want to make sure that we can use our legs as leverage here to create tension, to create stability so that we can create force. So make sure this is down flush. And she's got her back slightly arched. I would almost say this is a little overkill. It's important that you keep your abs engaged while you're doing a lat pull down, any type of back movement, really any exercise. In general, it's important to keep your core braced. And if you overarch, then all of these muscles become disconnected. They can't be contracted. So I would actually push her back, her belly back just a touch so that she can keep her abs tight. And her finish point is perfect. She's pulling it right into the sternum and she's focusing on squeezing in her armpits, right? Because this movement is targeting the back muscles. We want to make sure that we're actually moving and squeezing the back muscles. Sometimes we get lost in the sauce and just pull it down with our arms. Don't try to refocus yourself. If you feel like your arms are burning, think, I need to stop pulling in my elbows. I need to start pulling in my armpits. Good. And if your forearms burn a lot, that's okay. That's part of the process. You're going to build up endurance in those muscles. So now we are into our row. Again, she does pretty good. So you want to make sure that you're pulling into your sternum, right? We don't want to pull too high or too low, and it's focusing on the back muscles. So with a row, we're really focusing on pinching our shoulder blades together. You can envision a pencil or a piece of paper back here that you're trying to squeeze and pinch. Good. And again, we want to make sure that our core is able to be engaged. So she's got herself pretty flat, which is good. But if we overarch here, again, it'll pull our abs apart. All right, so our chest fly. These ones can be tricky. And I say that because a lot of females, a lot of us women, we don't really prioritize training our chests. And there's not a whole lot of functional movements in day-to-day life that uses your pectoral muscles. So it can be hard to start to feel them. And sometimes when you're doing these exercises, you're going to feel it a lot in your shoulders. If you feel it a lot in your shoulders, try to readjust and use some of these pointers to try and get it in your pecs. So when we say your chest, you're going to feel mostly the top of your chest, almost like it's into your armpits. Okay, so that's where you want to try to start squeezing and get in touch with those muscles, because the activation can be hard. It can be challenging. It's hard for me. It's hard for a lot of women. But when you set yourself up for your chest fly, you're obviously going to be laying down on a bench. You want to make sure that your feet are planted. And we do want a gap in between you and the bench. So sometimes it can feel like you're arching your back. If you start to get any back pain, make sure to squeeze your butt. You gotta squeeze your butt. It will support you and protect you from low back pain because we're not really being supported by the bench. All right, so once you get your weights up top, we gotta make sure that we pinch our shoulders back to the bench. We don't want any gap. We don't want to be over pushing our shoulders forward because then our shoulders are going to take the weight. So we keep our shoulders pinched back to the bench just like she's got. And she's actually doing a little scooping motion at the top, which I don't hate. It's not a bad tip. You can scoop at the top and pull your pinkies together to try and help you activate your chest more. But when it comes to the chest fly, you'll see she doesn't lock out her elbows. She keeps them soft. And she's going nice and wide, keeping the motion controlled. Well, and I guess that's that. Let me go back to that. Good. So when you're opening up, your chest is naturally going to stretch wide. Your chest is going to push forward. My last tip is try to maintain that pressed up chest position as you squeeze together. Almost like you are squeezing the girls together. You're creating cleavage when you're pushing your pecs together. And maintaining that like upward chest position helps you keep the muscles active instead of pushing forward and pushing the weight into your shoulders. All right, so next she's got some lower cable crossovers. This you can use for the top of your chest, but you'll also feel this in your shoulders too. Whenever we're doing cable work and it requires both arms, honestly, whenever we're doing cable work in general, I'll recommend that you stagger your feet. You put one forward and you put one back because you'll see here, she starts to swing a little bit. Not too bad. She does a good job staying pretty stable. But as we get fatigued, it's going to get harder to keep our balance. And we'd rather not be worried about our balance when we're trying to target and isolate muscles. So just stagger your feet. You can do that for your tricep extensions, for your lateral raises. If you have cable bicep curls on your program, that remains true for all of those. All right, and I give her so many props. She's just going to town on these tricep dips. So lots of gyms usually have machines that have a kick out stand, and it's a machine that will support your weight while you're doing these dips if you can't do your body weight. If you can't do your body weight, do not feel bad. It is a very hard exercise. And I would say majority of people cannot do body weight dips. I definitely can't do an unsupported body weight dip. Maybe one day I will be able to. Maybe that's a good goal. But use the kick out machine and just make sure when you're keying in the weight, you know that whatever weight you're keying in is the counterweight to your body weight. So if you click 50 pounds on the machine and you weigh, say, 200 pounds, you're going to be doing dips with 150 pounds of your weight because you've got the 50 pounds offsetting it. So most machines, there's adjustable handles. This one doesn't, but many of the dip machines do, and it will either be wider set or you can click it over and the handles will be closer together. For her, her shoulder span is pretty short. So I would actually, if there was a way for her to get her handles closer together, she would be able to stack her wrists over her elbows better, and it would be better for her joints. So if there is a dip setup that allows you to change your handles, put them closer together because more than likely you'll need that support closer to your body, as opposed to these super wide ones are set up for like jack dudes with super wide shoulder spans. It's really hard to keep your arms in alignment if your arms are way out wide. Okay. And then lastly, she's going to shift over to core. Yeah, it's honestly so impressive. She does a really good job. Good job, girl. Okay, so with the core, um, these are honestly pretty good. She doesn't shake around a lot. She doesn't go too fast. You want to make sure that you're going slow enough so that you're actually controlling the movement. Just like how we go slow with a squat or a chest press or a row, we want to go slow enough with our core so that our muscles can be active as well. So as she extends and flattens out, you still want to try to maintain contact with the ground because that is how you create tension in your abs and round out your bowl. I like to call it your ab bowl. All of your muscles, when they're fully contracted, create this little bowl in your belly, and you'll feel it. It's like an upside down, or I guess a right side up bowl, where you could actually like visualize pouring and holding cereal there. Okay, so when your bowl is strong, your back is pushed against the floor, and that will protect your back. If you start to feel back pain when you're doing any type of leg extension, just try to push your back into the floor and try to maintain that contact so that you can keep tension in your abs instead of transferring it to your back. And also, you can always do one leg at a time and plant one leg in the ground so that you've got some more support. Yeah, cool. All right, overall, not a bad job, Joanna. She's got my props for doing the dips. And I would just say minor things. I wouldn't like ostracize you for doing any of the little things that she does, but I think they're just helpful things to bring awareness to so that you can move better in your body, you can feel stronger in your body, and also try to minimize risk as you're doing these exercises because at the end of the day, we have to be really mindful of our joints when we're adding weight. And we have to make sure that we're keeping the tension in the muscle because that's how we get the muscle to grow. Our muscle doesn't really grow if our joints are doing all the work. So the intention is truly the most important thing. All right. I'm going to stop my share here. Any closing remarks or questions, Miss Allie?
I don't think so. I think the knee thing is like just such a good tip that I've learned from you that you don't really think about making sure your knees don't bend in and that they go out can really it's just can really benefit you in like every lower body lift to make sure that your knees go out instead of caving in.
Yeah. The prime example I'll always use is if you have like an elderly family member in your family and you watch them get out of a chair, their knees will always cave in and cave together as they try to push themselves out of the chair because it's your body's path of least resistance because your joints can leverage themselves to move you. But that's not necessarily what we want when we're training because we want to maximize the tension into our muscles. So it's totally normal, natural for your body to take path of least resistance, but we are responsible for becoming aware of that and actually going against it. We do the hard things. Love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for tuning in and listening here with me. I know a lot of people will watch this at a later date. Um, and I think I might post maybe some type of poll to see when live videos would be better timed for people to make because I feel like everyone's always busy on the nights that I try to do these. So yeah, so look for a poll and vote for your most convenient time. And anyone that's watching this after the fact, make sure to contribute what day would work best for you. Because truly, I love having these calls when we are able to like talk and actually meet each other because it just, I don't know, it makes it feel so much more real. And I know that our Discord is cool because we can chat, but it's not really the same when you don't see the faces that are on the other side of that screen.
I agree.
Yeah. All right, Al, I appreciate you. I hope you have a lovely, productive, and fabulous week.
You too, Sarah. Have fun in Texas if I don't talk to you before then.
Yeehaw! Thanks. Bye.
Bye.